So, good afternoon, everyone. Shall I start?
Okay, great, Dr. Islam. So, hello, just 1 minute. So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session, the session called Redefining HRD through Data Analytics. And with me is Dr. Islam. Dr. Islam, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you. So, you could introduce yourself, maybe just give your profile, and then you can dive into your presentation. Welcome very
Sure.
much.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Islam El-Maddah. I am computer engineer. I am mainly about data engineering and computer science. So this is a little bit about my interest. I'm always interested in data analysis, data analytics, and especially about human science and what we call now like communication skills, motivation, how to model them, how to measure them. This is very interesting topic for HR, and this is a little bit about me. I'm always interested in creating training courses tailored for such things, and also teaching courses about data mining, artificial intelligence, data analytics. So today I'm going to mix what I like and what I do usually about work. Okay. So this session is very interesting. It's about how to make the HR work using data, how to make best use of data, and how to make sure that the data is going to be used in the correct way to make good action. So this is what we try to do in our session today. Good. So the title of my talk about towards data-driven HR. So which means I'm trying to make good use of data, try to make sure my data is suitable, and try to define some goals to make sure that I can reach these goals using this data. So this is what we are going to do now. So let's start by imagining this. This is like one of the HR guys who is always have too much data, and he cannot breathe in, or he cannot just see what in front of him because of too much data. Too much data is good and bad at the same time. If you cannot consume the data with the rate you create the data and store the data, it will be too much problem for you, because usually you try to take some decision, and this decision is not based on the data correctly. So what we try to do is try to help this guy to come out from this water, and try to make sure that he can make best use of the data. Okay, so usually in HR, they have a lot of problems because they have everything about the company, everything about the organization, all the people data. So all this information will be very difficult for them to choose, for example, one way or another, try to improve productivity in this department or in that place. So what we are going to do now is try to find some stable route leading us from getting good data and using the data to make sure that we achieve our goals or our actions. So this is my agenda. I'm going first to speak about some things that people believe about HR, but sometimes it's not true. I'm going to speak about the tool I'm going to use, which is data analytics. I'm going to speak about some area where we can measure data and we can make good use of data. Usually we are interested in human productivity and the people productivity, department productivity, motivation, how to make sure people are feeling okay, they can work very well, especially in some time like last months where we have a problem because people were fearing to work, and a lot of problems like this can affect the people productivity and can affect how they behave as well. Uh, the last part, to take data and try to analyze it about performance, how to make sure that the performance is going well, And when the performance doesn't go well for one department or at some time, what action we can do, what tools we can do using the data to make sure that we are enhancing and preventing the problem from coming or recurring again. And finally, I'm going to do some conclusion about my talk. So this is some things that people don't think about HR, but usually sometimes they are not true. So first of all, like they are doing secret job. Usually HR very secret department. No one knows about what they are doing. They think they are very important, and people think they are very involved in people applying for job and in, for example, for applying for training, and usually they shape like a secret agent for each one of us working at this organization. So also they have huge amount of useful data. Usually HR, they are like the brain or like the heart of the company, and they have everything. And we think that the data are very easy for them. They can just understand whatever is going there and here. But usually the data is not ready, or usually it's not very, it's raw data, and raw data means it cannot be cooked. So we have to do many effort to have some tools to make sure that we can gather the data correctly. Also, we think about their job, or sometimes we believe that they are doing the job in a very comfortable way, but usually this is not the truth. They know about every one of us, even more about more than every one of us. But I think this is like sometimes because of the data they have, and they can control much of your work, your sheet, attendance sheet, and everything like this. So you can just imagine they know a lot about you. The other or the last part is about they think of each one of us as just a number or just like figures. Okay, so maybe I can just have good performance this month, not very good performance last month. I have attendance sheet, something like this. So I'm just a number for them, and this can just make us feel that they don't feel us, okay, or they have no emotion against people who are working in the company. And I think this can make like a barrier between us and HR to share the information. So I'm going to speak a little about all this problem. Okay. So we start with data analytics, because this is very interesting. Analytics, it's a bit different from analysis. Analysis is very basic skill. You have just complicated part, you have a compound part, and then you break it into small pieces that can be absorbed or can be digested very easily. So this is what we call analysis. But what about analytics? Analytics, you try your best to understand the data, see what happened, try to investigate what can happen in the future, predict, try to create a model, and try to see yourself, for example, in 5 years, what can the department look like, what the company go in this direction or that direction. So what is the best choice to do now? So things like this is called analytics. So this is what we are trying to do. So this pyramid or this mountain is very interesting shape, because usually we have a pyramid who have a big base, and then you have a small top. So usually in data science or in data world, we have data, the basic data, my name, my age, for example, how much hours I work, and I can put this into information, put some data together to make information, and put many information together to make knowledge. And the knowledge will be the wisdom people we are looking for. So usually everyone target to reach knowledge from the data, and I have to get good data, prepare the data, make sure I can use good tools to get or extract good information, and finally I can get knowledge. So I have to do many things like top down and bottom up in the same time. I have to have some goals where my knowledge will be there, and I have to have some preparation, like some measures, some KPIs, some indicators in the information area, in the green part. And finally, at the last part, I have to get the correct data. Rather than just be drawn with huge amount of data, I have to get the good data or the enough data, or I have to just have some part of the data which can be useful for my department or especially for the HR department. So very interesting. So the value increase because when you have just raw data, it doesn't have so much value. When you have some information, it can give you some extra value. When you have knowledge, this is the most expensive part, or this is the most valuable part. You can learn from your data, from the information you gathered, and it can help you take good action. And this action will help you to enhance your department business or enhance the work, how it goes. So this is a mountain. So now we need to complete the picture, because usually a mountain needs someone to climb it. Okay. So this is like the BI, the business intelligence goal, data analytics goal. Try to make sure that we can take us from data to the knowledge, to the top of the mountain very easily and very quickly. So the bus has to be very short and also has to be very correct. So it lands us at the correct top, or at the correct target we need. So I just wanted to share with you, we have like 4 different arrows, and one of them is yellow, the other one is white, the other one is almost orange, and the above one is red. So I think we can say that the yellow and the white are good ones because they move us from data to knowledge. Maybe the yellow is a bit late. He will take us to do some things, but not directly like the white. So we appreciate the white better than the yellow. What about the orange? The orange compared to the white and the yellow doesn't take us to the knowledge. So he just like the complete way is not there, okay, or the complete route is not there. So it means that the data you gathered is not enough to lead you to the top. So we have to be careful in selecting our data to make sure that the data can lead us to the knowledge, to the top, not just to information, or not just to be trapped at some small area. So what about the last bus, the brown bus or the magenta bus, the one to the extreme right? Usually you have, it's a route to knowledge, okay, and it leads you to the top, but it starts from information. So actually, it lacks data. So you don't have enough data to go through this route. Okay. So I think many times we don't have correct data. We don't have suitable data to fulfill our goals or to fulfill our action. So we will then take action without data, or we can just take random action, as we say, or action depending on our feeling, not depending on facts. Okay, so we have to make sure we have routes from every goal we have to the data we gather. Okay, to make sure that the data are traceable to information and then to knowledge, or actually action, good action. So in fact, I just want to conclude: information has KPIs, or it's the area where we plant KPIs, and the knowledge where we plant the organization uh, goals or the vision of what we want to do. Okay, so this is about data analytics, the target of data analytics. So what about how to analyze data analytics? Which part are there, or what are the stages of the data analytics? So here, data analytics will answer a number of questions. You can see them to the right. What is the best action? What if we try this? What will happen next? What is the pattern? Where should we look? You can find these questions. Some of them, the red ones, are very, what we call very epic or very dramatic questions, and you can see the starting one, the magenta one, how many, when, where. These are very basics, okay? Like you are just doing a small report or basic report, telling how many hours did this department have in last month, something like this. It's just aggregation or just collecting, counting, and then we can just have some why something happened, what is the steps when it happened, something like this, to just to understand, diagnose, or to try to think of the what happened step by step. Okay. Then we have the orange questions speaking about what can happen if, for example, we follow this rate next month, what will be the production? If, for example, coronavirus stayed for a long time, like 1 year more, how the business will look like, okay? Or how can we change our business, for example, to make sure that we can still meet our goals or partially meeting our goals, okay? So this is like a different number of questions, and each color will be one of the data analytics target. So the very basic target will be descriptive. Descriptive mean I just wanted to have simple report to retrieve information, basic information. The sign part or the light blue part about to discover something, about to say why this happened. Maybe sometimes something bad happened or something good could happen. So like chance for having better business. So I know I have to know what is the environment or what is the circumstances where these things happen. Okay, the orange part is about to look at the future. So, for example, I will have, if I stayed with this rate or if I stayed with this environment, what will happen to my work business or to my work goals? And maybe I can invent a number of scenarios and then I can take the best of them. And this is the red part. The red part try to take you using predictive from 1, 2, 3, and then you can take the best route and then you start going to the best route from now. So this is like the four corners of data analytics. In this slides, we have like, this is what we call the climber, our climber, the one who climbs the mountain. He has a compass. The compass is telling him some basic information. Where is he now? Is he to the west, to the east? Because, for example, I was looking at the start of the session about some button go live, and I was just guided to look at the right. So this is like some basic information. This is like descriptive. This is the basic reporting we know every well, or we know very well. Sorry. Then we have diagnose to make sure that we can say why something happened, what is the consequences before it happened, or what is the chain of event that allows this problem to happen. So we need to have some of this analysis to make sure the problem will not happen, and the good part can happen again, like the part that we can have better chance, or the good risk can happen again if we just repeat the same action. So this is the second part. The third part about prediction. So prediction mean this is like what we call the glass ball, where you just predict with no clue, but now we have some data, and the data will lead us to know better. So maybe because usually things happen in pattern, the pattern could happen or could repeat, and sometimes it can repeat year after year, or maybe season after season. In summer, the data will be the same, or during the rush season. Sometimes we can just understand environmental things that happening, and it can be used to predict what can go in the future. For example, if we have some problem in our company, and because of the coronavirus, for example, we can say the attendance rate will decrease. So building on this, we can just imagine different ways to achieve our goals rather than just ignoring what happened last years, okay, or last months. Sorry. Good. So the last part about perspective. Perspective means if I know this route can lead to this way, this route can lead to this way, and then I have a goal or I have a target, and then I can say this route will take me correctly, like the four routes we were just showing before, the white one and the yellow one. So usually you can just think of which route I should take, and then it can lead you to the good one. So basically we can just have a combination or a mix between all four types of analytics to make sure we can just land at our action correctly using the data. Good. So this is very interesting. Now we know the tool, but what I am going to do with this tool. So for example, which data I'm going to gather, which data will be interesting for me, for the organization. So usually most of the company, most of the organization think about productivity to make sure that they take the maximum output or maximum result from their department, from their people working. So one of the best things to think about is the productivity, and productivity mean you have good team and you have good management, and then you have good environment so you can just get the best out of them. Here I just have formula, number of products produced, the number of requests finished, number of surface over number of input, which could be like the time allowed for them, or the number of hours they work in a month, or sometimes the number of inputs delivered to them. So usually we can have such information to measure or to say this department has this productivity compared to the other department, or this team is better than this team. And this is very interesting. And now we come to the second part about people feeling and people, how you mix between people skills and people attitude. So usually if I'm going to be asked to do something, maybe I'm very interested in this talk. So that's why I'm very interesting and I put a lot of effort, and I don't feel it's very hard effort. So I just maybe have extra hours to do this presentation. Okay, maybe some other person, maybe he knows more about me, knows this subject more about me, but he is not very interested because he doesn't have good motivation, or he doesn't feel this will get him something back. So he just have less productivity than me. So usually what I'm just trying to conclude is productivity is a product of two things: your ability to do something, the skill, and your attitude. So sometimes you don't have enough attitude, so your productivity will be low. You don't have enough skill, but you have high attitude, so your productivity will be low. But me and the other guy who have better skill but less attitude we can just be trained differently, or we can just have enhanced productivity in a different way. And this is very good for the HR, not just to say maybe Islam, Alan, Jack, all of them have the same productivity, but no, we just say how much skills they have, how much attitude they have, so we can just increase Islam productivity or increase Alan productivity, or we can just increase the attitude of Jack. So we have just two factors that we can just think of them. Not just two factors, but two factors in everything we do. Maybe I'm interested in doing some job in my work. I'm motivated to do this type of job, but I'm not motivated to do the other jobs. So rather than just having a small number for each one of them, we should have like a color or a palette. Maybe like I am good in red, I am not good in yellow, but I feel nice about orange. So we can have a skill and attitude for each color. Okay, that's I think will be very good to gather this data. Sometimes it's difficult, but I think it's very valuable to be gathered, and it's more valuable to be analyzed, because when you analyze it, you can just think of trying to put similar people together, try to put one with this big skill so he can just help other people in his team. So many things can just happen when you have analysis, not just say I am good. No, I am good in what, or I am very good in what and not very good in what. So this will be better rather than just say this person is good, this person is better than this one, just comparing one total number. Good. So here I just have like a matrix between skill and engagement, or what we call attitude. And then I have like the red square means you don't have enough skill and you don't have motivation to do something, or you don't have good attitude to do it. The blue one, the star, is the best in everything. So imagine if we just look at people working in our department, for example, in one job or another, you will find them scattered like this. Some of them are stars and this don't need help. They will help us actually. Some of them are problem child and they need to do a lot of work with them. Some of them, the ones in the yellow squares, they are very critical people, because sometimes the two people down here, striver and the coaster, the one above, they are different. Okay, they have the same productivity, but they are different. Some of them need encouragement just to start work, and the other people need to get some skills to teach them or to train them how to do something. Okay, so we have to differentiate between these two rather than just say all yellow people are the same, or orange people are the same. So this is very interesting to just think of dimensions rather than just one two dimension, sorry, rather than just one dimension. So this was about productivity. Yeah, I speak just about skills and attitude, but we should have management and team management. All these things, also government regulation, rules, company regulation, policy. All these things affect how we work. But maybe we can just rely on the people, the teams. This can be solved easily or easier or quicker than we just try all the factors and at one time. So this was about productivity. The second thing about motivation. Motivation is very interesting factor, but usually people think it's a very personal, but it's not personal because it affects the company work, it affects the organization work. So if HR ignores motivation and how to measure people, how to say this one is motivated than the others, I think we will get wrong idea about people. So also how to increase the motivation is a very important thing as well. I could be motivated. What does motivation mean? Motivation mean the force coming from my inside, pushing me to do some job or to finish something. Okay, so many factors should be there, but one of them, or the best for the company, is your force. How much force you will have to get finishing your work or finishing your job. Okay, so I think motivation is very important thing. Just to illustrate, maybe these two guys are very important persons. Just to speak about Alexander Graham Bell. He had his wife and his mother. Both of them, he had some hearing problems. Both of them had the problems of hearing, so he doesn't. He feels sorry for both of them, but he just try to solve the problem for others. So he just try to make sure that people can, with a small voice, they can be heard. Okay, and for a small voice, you can be heard at a distance. So this is very interesting for people to have this built-in motivation. The other part about Thomas Edison, and Thomas Edison just give you some way of dedication or motivation. He just tried to invent the light bulb, and he failed so many times. So it's very difficult for people just to keep doing something if they are if they fail, and especially at work, because maybe your boss will just give you one chance, two chance, five chances, but not more than that. So sometimes you are very interested to do something, to try something, for example, in Excel or in Power BI, and you don't have enough time. So you will find yourself going at home and trying to do something by yourself. So how to make sure this can be done at work or for the sake of the job? I think this is very critical place. If we can touch about it, it will be very useful. Okay, so more about motivation. I think maybe just the most interesting guy speak about motivation was Maslow, and the Maslow pyramid. Again, the pyramid or the mountain. You have base, you have then top, and the top you have few people in the top and very big number at the base. So usually he start by trying to have physiology needs, and then you try to fulfill your safety needs. You try to fulfill your love and belonging needs. Maybe if you start your job and the first thing you will ask about how much they will pay me, and then you start thinking about the team is good or the team is bad, my boss doesn't like me, and then you start will I do something in this job, will I learn something I haven't done before, will I get something if I share in this conference, for example. So something like this is very useful to understand people, or maybe to look at them differently. Maybe your department, two people at the orange part because they have some problems, two people at the green part because they need more award, for example. So you can just think of how to reward them, how to motivate them differently, because what I'll be involved in could be different from what you can motivate you. Every one of us has his own compass for motivation. So because he is in a different way in the pyramid, and from time to time he can move differently as well. So this is very interesting to make sure that we have to think of human people working in the department or in the company, not just like as a number or as a robot, but they have feeling, and each one of them has situation. So we have to think of their situation. Maybe if we can record the situation in one good way that doesn't take their privacy, it will be very perfect. The second thing I just want to speak about motivation is this theory about when I ask you to do something and I promise you will get something in return. We have like what we call motivating force or motivational force. This is the blue one, okay? And the motivational force is formed by three factors multiplied by each other. So how much you like this thing I promised you will take. Maybe I promise you will take 1 day, 1 week off. Okay. If we finish this report quickly, I can just promise you can take 1 week off in the summer, for example. So this means how much you value a week off in the summer. Okay. Maybe I don't have any place to go to in the summer, so I don't like for example, this reward. Okay. What other factors? The light blue one and the yellow one. What do you expect from E to B? Which mean your effort is going to be, for example, perceived. You are going to use this effort to achieve this. Okay, and your boss who promised you to to take this week, if you do this performance, he will reward you. So do you trust him? So finally we have like three parts. The green part means how much you value this. The yellow part means how much you trust the one who promised you, and the light blue means how much you trust yourself you can do this. So it's very interesting that each one of them looks like something independent or something different. The green part means I can promise different people different rewards, and they can make them work harder. So it's not, we are not copies of each other, but each one of us have different needs. Okay. Yellow, the yellow part means how you trust your management, you trust your leadership to make sure that they will get you things as they promised. Okay, and the light blue one means sometimes I'm shaky. I'm not trusting myself. I have a problem. I'm not sure to achieve this. This is very difficult for me. This is the first time I do it. So sometimes you have to be powered or empowered to make sure that you can do it. You can have some people who help you, maybe just giving you some trust to make sure that you can do it. And we can see that many people who have more skills than others can fail because they don't have trust even in their management or in themselves. So it's very good factors, and it's very good to measure them or estimate them or try to make sure we can just measure each one of them for each reward for each one of us at each time. So I think sometimes like this is very interesting to think of how to create model for the people working, not just to think of them as the number they finished because they finished or they didn't do the work because full stop. But we have just to think of why. Because if we know why, or if we know the weakest link, we can just enhance it. Good. The last part about performance. The performance, when I think some department doesn't perform as much as I expect, I have to have first metric to make sure that I can measure. And when it fails or when it doesn't take me correctly to the target, I have to ask why. What is the cause? And maybe I can just have some type of root cause analysis, and then I can have some action to be done. Again, this is the performance analysis. I have to think of when the work was not very good or when not very perfect. Okay. I think about timing, I'm trying to make sure that I will finish quickly. Okay, finally, the solution. Usually, it has to be studied very well, not just to think of you have some silver bullet that can solve anything. You have to do some analysis like need analysis to make sure that what solution we are going to use. Root cause analysis is very useful to make sure that we know the problem coming from which part. And we have to use a lot of measurement, a lot of KPIs, a lot of metrics. And metrics are something beyond the goals. Good. So just to conclude my talk, I have to set very carefully, very good number of goals for my HR department. I have to make sure that they can be happy when I achieve these goals. I have to collect suitable data, as we said before, in the mountain. I have to use good tools that take me from the mountain down to top of the mountain. Then I can make sure my actions are very good, are based on the data. And always I have to consider people willing, not just people ability, to make sure that I can understand people very well and I can model them very quickly. And thank you very much. And I hope you, I'm just waiting for any questions to be shared after we finish the session. So thank you very much. Okay. I think this question is very interesting because I think HR is a very unique department because they work with human. They don't work with like client or like customer, and the customer has request, but they work with humans, the people working inside the department. And as I came from a background of what you call data analysis and artificial intelligence, we can create models, and the model can be sophisticated or can be just simple model. So I'm not very imaginative if I say that I can create some model for people rather than just this simple model speaking about how much they attend, what is their rank, when they have been graduated, when they just joined the company. So maybe how they feel now, what in one way or another without going through their privacy, how much they feel, what is their attitude, how can they face problem, what are their skills in problem solving, for example, in data analysis, in making a decision. So maybe I can just mix and match when I create teams to make sure that my team can perform better. So a lot of skills, especially what we call soft skills, because soft skills is the outer layer that can shape how we behave, or how can we what we call, how can we treat each other or treat the work. Usually at training, they do evaluation, how much you gained from this job, how much you can just do it in a good way or in a bad way. So if we can measure it during training, I'm sure we can measure it during work. And maybe from time to time, if we speak to people frankly, we can just have to some model and some problems in soft skills that can be solved, or during selection we can know which one is better. So I think my answer is yes, we can just create better model for HR to work on people in a better way or in a good way.
The variables.
Sorry?
What are the variables?
Variables.
Yes.
Yes.
In people.
Yes. Yes. In people analytics.
Yes.
I think the variables should be the variables like the down part of the mountain. It should come after we know what goals we need at work. So maybe I just wanted to make sure that my people can perform very well, or perform in a very maximum productivity. So at this time, I have to see what factors affect productivity, and then I can just come down to down, and then I can say I need to collect information about your attitude, sorry, your team cooperation skills, your leadership skills, your skills itself, the hard skills. So something like this. This is how can we collect the needed or the good variable. So I think we should come from top to down. And this, I think, can just tell us, rather than just collect too much data or unneeded data or lack of data, we can just start from top to down, and then we can collect the correct data, even about people. And I think people privacy and should be issue in this, but I think for the sake of work, sometimes we can share some basic information without maybe telling to third party. So I think something like this can be good direction. Thank you. The question is for me, and the question means, if you don't have sophisticated company or too advanced company, how can you get some benefit of what we were saying today? Yes.
Yes.
I think I was going to speak about you have many different tools for data analytics, and they can range maybe from starting from Excel. I think each one of us have Excel, and he can just have small analysis, small drawing. Maybe I can have some basic information about plotting the people skills against their attitude, and I can find maybe 25 of them in this area, and maybe 50 of them in this area. So I know they are extreme at this part, or this is just like what we call outlier in data mining, in there or in here. So like this, I can just have some information. Maybe the second part